Going to do a third version of this video, so sorry if I sound annoyed. Freaking audio problems. Anyways, did a King Louie test on the Pioneer server. Few things to note. Everyone here is maxed out. You go maxed out armor, red level 1, red level 2 gems, level 50 rings, maxed out skills, etc. Ran the new King Louie, Belisarius, Elizabeth lineup against Lubu and against Cyrus and a few other people. Only about 20 battles so far. I'm going to keep doing some variation testing, but right off the rip, I'll tell you I'm very impressed. I mean, compared to how Belisarius was performing in the past. So I screenshotted a few battle reports here. This is against Lubu. His very first battle was not overly impressed, and I was a little worried, only having 57,000 left on a counter advantage. My concern was that the incapacitation skill did trigger and it was still this low of a performance, but luckily the next two battles proved me wrong. He ended up crushing it over the next two, and obviously need to run some more reports, but this is very telling. 113,000 left on this one, and then on the third battle, 113,000 left again. Absolutely melted Lubu these last two fights. Again, we all know Lubu's a glass cannon. He doesn't last very long, so I kind of figured that the incapacitation skill, if it did trigger, would be significant, and I believe that's what we're seeing here in the first battle versus the last two, is whether that did or did not trigger. I think that this is phenomenal battle results against Lubu. The next one was against Cyrus. He won 2 out of 3 matches. The first one here was the best performance. Just the fact that he beat Cyrus, I think, is huge. The old Belisarius would lose 9 times out of 10 to a similarly powered Cyrus March. At least that's what I had found to be true in my own testing. So the fact that he won was pretty awesome. First fight, lost the second fight, and I'm pretty sure what we're seeing here is a incapacitation skill not triggering, or triggering too late. I'm not entirely sure, obviously, but I do believe that that is the big difference in what we will continually see with a King Louie March, is whether or not incapacitation is in fact hitting. Won the last fight, not by as much as the first fight, but again, winning 2 out of 3 times on Cyrus, to me, that's a huge victory compared to how Belisarius used to be. I think that this proves that King Louie could be a very good open field PvP March compared to how it used to be, which was not. He was a rally March. Myself and many others built him rally specific. Now you kind of have the potential to be hybrid, especially if you are more free to play and you can really only focus on 1 to 2 marches. This becomes a much more viable option for you, because now you're open field and rally, which you may not actually open field PvP. You may only want to push for rallies, but when you're getting snagged and sniped and all that other stuff, it's always better to perform, in those instances. So that's pretty awesome. I will show you skills I was running. The mounts aren't great, but whatever, they're new. And I use Sowing Discord. It's not a make or break skill, but to me, you get a debuff and a buff out of it. So you're taking away strategy from the enemy and you're adding it to yourself, which is pretty huge considering strategy is attack and defense, whereas might is attack and armor is defense when you're dealing with those troops. So I think that's pretty solid skill set for someone who's not a DD, who's not dishing out any damage or anything significant. And then here is one of the battle results. I did Cyrus because obviously it's a much closer fight, and so you can kind of see more of how they perform. Having 2 solid damage dealers in King Louie's lineup is pretty awesome. King Louie being the main DD here. Very impressed with the heals from Elizabeth. And then on the other side of the fence, King Roland, or Roland, whatever his name is, not overly impressed with the heals. I definitely want to test King Louie against Amanza, Cyrus March, and just different combinations of Cyrus to see how King Louie still performs against that enemy. But overall, I'm very impressed, and this probably will be the main character I go for based on what I'm seeing elsewhere. I haven't seen a lot or heard a lot of King Louie, so I wanted to run my own tests real fast and get out a quick, instant kind of reaction video, and to see if I can pique some more interest and see if other people can start testing and coming up with even potentially better variations than what I came up with. So yeah, that's what we got going on right now.